Hello everybody, welcome to my channel yet again. This time we're going to be starting, unlike the last video, in person. I am currently at the track. I've already done one practice session. I am very sorry, but I was very busy to begin with, so I couldn't record the build up to it, but it's gone very well. I'm just walking up the stairs onto this grandstand bit here, see if I can get some good footage for you all. But we are here, the Ricardo Tormo circuit in Valencia for the, I think, what round is this? Round 4 of the GT Winter Series, but it's our second round of the year. Look how great this view is, right? So after the first session we finished about P3 overall, which isn't bad considering the length of the age of the tyre that we have on at the moment. We're being assured that the other guys have got some fresher tyre, which explains the difference in the lap times. So we're gonna have to see later on today when we go on some new rubber, just to see what it's like. But yeah, very hopeful so far. It's been a great start. Hi guys, Post Edit Tom here. So as many of you may be aware, I've not been too frequent on posting on this channel. That's mainly because I've been really busy in real life outside of the racing world. Mainly because of university and just making sure I'm on top of things like that. Another excuse I've got is that I've not actually had too much content to upload. I did attend a PF club meet in X30 after 5 months and got a podium on my return, which was pretty good. And as you can see in the background of this segment of the video, I was racing the British University Kart Championship with Reading University, the one I attend, and we're currently sitting P2 at the moment. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to get any footage from either weekends, which is really poor on my behalf, but I'm going to try and make sure I can make it up to you guys in the future. If you want some BUKC onboards, I'm more than happy to record them. Just let me know in the comments below. Thank you for listening to my book of excuses. I'm going to figure out somehow how I can upload more frequently for you guys, but hope you enjoy the rest of the video. The Saturday here at Valencia was here for me to learn. It's a brand new track for me, and although I've done a lot of laps on the simulator, nothing can prepare you for the real thing. We also did a lot of brake bedding in, just to make sure we had enough brake pads for Sunday, because we were going to do a lot of laps. Throughout the day we were getting faster and faster, but struggling with just a little bit of grip. We hadn't gone new tyres by this point, but we knew when we went new tyre we were going to be very quick. On the final practice session of the day, however, there was a red flag which impeded everybody, and it was because of a GT3 car that ditched it in the wall. So it meant I came into the pits and just had to wait for the green flag to be shown. Hello everyone, this is my office, as you can see. It's not a bad place to be, it have to be said. Currently got a red flag at the moment, but that's no bother. As you can see, we've got all these little fancy buttons that do literally everything you could ever ask for a car. It's pretty stripped out inside here, but yeah, it's definitely fast as well. It's definitely fast. We're just ending the day off with some brake pad bedding in, and then a couple of pit stop drills, and then we're good for the day. It's been a gorgeous day today. Lots and lots of laps. Hope for more tomorrow. That is the first day of the weekend done here in Valencia for my second race of the year, but the 4th round of the GT Winter Series. Overall, really productive day. It's just a shame about the last 30-minute session there. There was a red flag which I may or may not put into the end video. There was a Mercedes GT3 that clipped a little bit too much curb going through the chicane, and it was an ugly sight, completely written off. But yeah, overall, a lot of learning done. Really good progress, good lap times as well, most importantly. Our our quali run that we did towards the end of the day was actually really good, and in comparison to the times that they did at the European Challenge last time, we look to be in really good competitive form. So I'm chuffed with that. But yeah, no, we're gonna crack on. Really looking forward to the race, and I think it's going to be quite good, but challenging around here because it's all narrow and sort of single file in a sense. Yeah, because it's so flowing, but the actual useful part of the track is so fine. But yeah, really looking forward to tomorrow, and I'll be sure to update you all. That's it for day one. Looks good, doesn't it? Welcome everybody. Welcome to day 2 of the weekend. Very final day. I'll be sad to be leaving at the end of the day, depending of course on how today goes. Today is Sunday, and for all motorsport fans across the world, everyone knows that it's race day. I've got qualifying in roughly about 30 minutes, so I need to be getting ready pretty quick. But I'm just going to fill you in with what we've got today. So we've got 2 qualifying sessions, which determines where we start for the sprint race 1 and sprint race 2, and the average qualifying position is where you start for the hour endurance race for this afternoon, or this evening rather. Should be a really good day today. Look forward to finally getting back and racing these cars again. Hopefully we can get amongst some GT3 cars. It's going to be really on the first lap until they sort of get up to speed. You know, if somebody's been caught napping, I'm going to have to pounce on them and make my opportunities, or if they've got an AMP driver, just going to make the most of their well, slower capabilities and make sure I can get past them as soon as possible. After quali, we have completed qualifying. The first qualifying session went really well. We polled it by quite some way because the other cars had their amateur drivers in, and then in quali 2 we polled it once again with our time. I think we were 8/10 quicker nearly than their pro drivers. They had a bit of a swap halfway through, so yeah, we went faster than we did yesterday as well. So you know, we're constantly improving, which is a good thing. Unfortunately, we got a track limit penalty on all of our fast laps in the second qualifying session. I'm not sure if they were being strict or what was going on, but yeah, unfortunately, it was just one of those things where we ran out of time towards the end to actually put another lap together, and the tyres had gone off. So yeah, we got to learn from this. Well, I've got to learn. Just to stay on the track as much as possible, because otherwise stuff like this happens. So I'm going to be starting further at the back for race 2 because I don't actually have a lap in place. I think the lap that counted was actually the warm-up lap. You know, we do a couple laps on these tyres to bring them up to temperature and to take the tops off so the sidewall doesn't crack whilst we're going round, and also to get the most grip that we can out of the car. But yeah, no, I'm still really happy. Like, obviously this is practice for us, and we're doing a really good job of it so far as the Formula cars are about to go out. There's a lot of them. But yeah, no, it's been a great learning experience so far. We're here for the first round of the challenge, and we look really quick so far, and I'm comfortable in the car. Car's been set up really nicely, and yeah, full confidence going into the first round of the challenge in March. But for the time being, we've got to focus on what we're doing here. Race 1, I think we're starting 4th overall and polling class, which, so really good stuff. And then in race 2 we are starting, well, I don't think the results have even been published because of the amount of track limit penalties that were being given out in that one. So yeah, we're just gonna have to see and crack on from wherever we start. I know I can get through the field, and out of all the 488s, I'm definitely by far the quickest one here. So yeah, doesn't affect me. We'll make sure we get him in the race. So welcome everybody. You're currently on my helmet right now. We're about to go out on the pits for the starting grid of the very first race of this weekend. We're starting in race 1. This is a sprint race, so it's going to be 25 minutes long, but we're still going to have to manage tyres quite a bit because this track is sort of like a go-kart track where it's really tight and twisty, and it doesn't give a lot of room for the tyres to breathe. There's only one short straight on the track, and even then you're sort of waiting to prepare for the next one. So yeah, should be good. I'll see you on the grid. See here, there's a lot of cars in the way and it's just a very busy affair. I'm probably going to have to see if I can scoot around all of these guys, because we are miles ahead of a lot of them. So we're just going to pull up into our slot with P4 overall, like I said. Don't know if the camera can't get that. Very, very busy. Lots of people about. Just going to slowly drive our way to the front here. Where am I? Yeah, just reversing into the position now. Right, well I'm going to pass on to you guys and see you all in a bit.
So, the very first race of the weekend. I have to say I was quite nervous. There was about 5,000 spectators here, so the last thing I wanted to do was A, be slow and make myself look like a tit, and B, crash and make myself look like a tit. So, on this warm-up lap, I'm just making sure the car is as warm as possible and up to temperature, so I'm not going to cause an accident. But that doesn't mean I'm going to hold back whatsoever. As we come round the last corner to start the race, everyone seems to speed up and then for whatever reason slow down. And then as soon as the lights go out, we're straight underway and trying to make up as many positions as we can, whilst everyone's still a little bit temperate. The KTM on the right hand side of me tries to avoid these Lamborghinis, and I go up the inside of him and close the door on exit. Then going into this left hairpin, I try and make a move round the outside of an unsuspecting Super Trofeo, but I've not really got the position nor the grip that he has to make the move stick. So I'm just going to hold on to him now and see if I can pile on the pressure. Defending into here because I've got a Porsche right behind me, mounting all over that curb, and just trying to see if I can nitpick anywhere that I'm stronger than him, and we seem to have got a good exit there, so we try and throw it up the inside to put him off. But even though we get really close to the rear end of him, he seems to be unfazed by what we're doing, and he seems to be in a faster car at this point of the race. A couple laps later, that black and orange car has overtaken the white Lamborghini in front of us, who seems to be a little bit slow at this part of the race, so we're going to try and put a move on him, but he seems to have just too much power out the corner for me to be doing anything. I'm trying to rack up my brain as to figure out whereabouts on the track I can overtake him. Before I can do any of that, yeah, unfortunately the GoPro that I was provided with stopped recording after a couple minutes. What happened in the rest of this race was I overtook that white Lamborghini and managed to hold him off for the rest of the race, for P4 overall.
Hey, gracias.
So, that's the first race, if I just sort my camera, that's the first race over and done with. God, it was very hard, it was really hard, because there was some cars out of position because the amateur qualified and the pro driver got in for their car, but you know, the Lamborghini Trofeos in a straight line, they're like absolute missiles, but they can't stop for the corner, so it's hard to get in front of, but it's also really hard to keep them behind. So I think I might have had to train about 5 cars just following me for 15 minutes, and then a safety car ended the race, or neutralised the race at least. There was quite a big scrap as next race gets underway. With it, I think we started about P6 or so, and you know, we're by no means are we like in terms of car performance supposed to be up there, but we actually moved up to 5th, I believe, in the end, and we finished on the podium because we scored the 3rd most amount of points in our category. So basically, because there are more Ferrari challenge cars, the more points you get for a win. So the more cars there is in your category, the more points you win if you win the race. And yeah, we got enough to finish third on the podium, so it was nice. Got a few photos with some of the locals as well. Yeah, just an overall really good experience. So on to race 2.
So, on to race number 2. This is another sprint race in which we're starting P25 overall. Thankfully the GoPro managed to record the entirety of this race, which was a godsend because it was the most interesting one of the weekend as we were slicing through the pack. So at the start here we're not messing about whatsoever. We're going to see if we can thread the needle between these two Porsches. They brake a little bit earlier than I do and I managed to go round the outside of the one on the left. There's quite a big incident however at the first corner, as you can see a lot of grass being kicked up. That's because one of the Porsches hit the curb and went into the side of a GT3 car. As we're going into the hairpin here of turn 2, I look up the inside of this Porsche and gingerly go up the inside as he doesn't seem to be too aware of his surroundings. He's still on my outside however, so I've got to give him the room. Going into this next corner here, head up the inside of this Lamborghini, and he's still on the left hand side of me at this point, but we've got the inside for the next corner, so we just make sure we edge him out ever so slightly on the brakes. We've had an amazing start so far, and I've tried to make it even better, but the car ahead is just a little bit too far ahead and we don't manage to get him on the brakes. So far on this first lap we've made up 9 positions, but we're going to try and add to our tally by making our moves as quickly and as efficiently as possible. I try to go up the inside of this Porsche into turn 8, but I don't commit enough. It was a bit of a half move, which is poor from me, and we have to stick behind him for the time being. A couple of corners later however, it must have seemed like our half move woke the Porsche driver up. He tries to go for a move on this Lamborghini GT3 ahead of us, but before we can pick up the pieces of any sort of altercation they have, a safety car is deployed. The safety car was deployed because of the turn 1 incident, but as we fast forward a couple laps onto the safety car restart, we open up the corner quite a bit so we can get a good run onto the main straight. After a good amount of traction and a really solid drive off the corner, we're right in the slipstream of the car ahead. With the overlapping speed, we pull out to the left and managed to get the job done way before the corner's braking point. So there we go, we're up into P15 now and we've got the Lamborghini in front of us to try and hunt down. A couple corners later of the same lap, we head up the inside going into turn 7 and get the job done really nicely. A couple corners later after that, going into the hairpin, we do quite a late but good move on the Porsche in front of us and get the job done at the apex. The next car is the Copper Shell, world champion of the Ferrari Challenge. He goes a little bit deep into this last corner, and with our superior traction we just managed to outdrag him all the way down this main straight here. We're now up into P13, so we've had a pretty good restart. Going into the same hairpin we overtook the Porsche, we're overtaking another Lamborghini GT3. He holds it round the outside of us, which is good. He gave us the room, which was nice of him, but we outbrake him into the following corner and take the position up the inside. The next car is the leading challenge car in class, and we set him up beautifully for a lovely little dive bomb into turn 4, and we're currently now leading the class. This is for P9 here against a Porsche Cup car, up the inside of turn 2, get the job done, nice and easy on the brakes, bit of oversteer on the exit, but we pulled away. Now this battle for P8 here was probably the hardest I've had to form all race weekend. I got up the inside of him into turn 1, but he just holds it round the outside. I did go in a little bit hard, but thankfully we didn't make any contact whatsoever. For the next lap, he defended to the inside, and I tried to go around the outside for the switchback. I just about missed the apex there, but still get a really solid run, which frightens him, and he goes defensive once again. Brakes a little bit early, so we try and set him up round the outside. Again, we've not got the grip that he does as we burn through our tyres, but we've been fighting him for a couple of laps now, and I've just got to send it from a mile back into turn 4. That was the last opportunity I was probably going to get this race, as my tyres were really fading by this point, and we managed to come home in P8. Our track limit penalties during qualifying were almost like a blessing in disguise. I didn't really have too much experience racing these types of cars, so it was really good for me and my experience to get a decent amount of overtaking, especially all in one race.
So that is the second race of the day done and dusted. Unfortunately, because like I said earlier, after qualifying, we incurred a lot of track limit penalties, which then meant that we actually started really far down the grid into what, in respective of where our pace should be. So I'm pretty sure we started 23rd for that race. I'll double check when I'm editing this video, but yeah, there was a massive pile up into T1. I think it was caused by just like the Porsches just outbraking themselves. They seem to be, some of them seem to be a little bit of you know, nutcases in this championship. I don't know what like they're like in other championships, but yeah, big crash at turn 1, and some good moves got us to P8 by the first lap, if I'm not mistaken, and then the safety car came out, and you know, by that point we were already 3rd in class, which was brilliant. Yeah, I was just pushing as hard as I can to make sure I can not only get the class victory, but I just wanted to finish up as high as possible, just so, like, you know, I wasn't 3rd from last but still won the class, if that makes sense. So, you know, a brilliant race, a lot of good moves as well, hard moves as well. One of the Porsches towards the end there, sort of like, it just went off the track. Well, I think he just went off the track as I was at the inside. So, but we got him like a couple corners later. So that's the main thing. We finished ahead of him. But yeah, another podium in the books as well, for the overall points scoring, which is really good. I'm just really happy with it, to be honest. We did a really good job. We pushed all the way to the very end. I don't know if I may be able to highlight it, but on the very last lap, the car was over-rotating really badly. The rears were just on fire. So it seems like controlling the rear temperatures is going to be one of the hardest things when we come here for the Challenge Championship, but also the endurance race later on today. So especially when we're on new tyre, it just generates that little bit more heat. So got to be careful, but overall 2 really good races so far. That's 2 signatures as well, so I think I'm able to upgrade my licence, which is really good. But yeah, I've probably said really good about 1 million times so far, which is really good. But yeah, onto the endurance now. Goal is to basically win the class, obviously, see where we can end up, but I don't think I'm going to push ridiculously hard. I just want to sort of bring the car home and just gain a little bit more knowledge of the track and how it works, but also just, you know, looking after the tyres and the brakes in the car, because we're going to be using them at a later point this year. So yeah, I'll report on the endurance in a little bit.
Last but not least, we have the endurance race. We started P14 in this one because of our average qualifying result, and by this point I was getting really hyped up because I really wanted to see how much damage I could do on this first lap. We timed the lights going out really well, which means we've got a really good run on the outside of this Porsche, and we make the move stick going all the way around the outside of him. But unfortunately, the yellow Porsche on the left hand side of us has gone up the inside and he's made the move stick. Going into turn 2 here, we try around the outside again and we managed to get a decent amount of positions, but unfortunately this KTM Expo just slows up so much that we have to lose one of the positions. I've got the Porsche right up my backside going into turn 4, so I've had to go defensive, and unfortunately he's managed to go round the outside with the extra bit of grip he's got. He holds it round the outside for turn 5, and in all fairness to him, he's pulled off a really good move. A couple laps later, however, we're back on the gearbox of him, and we're trying to take the position back which we had originally. I tried to go up the inside and recreate the move that I did in race 2 into turn 4, but I'm not far enough up the inside to dictate where he goes, and he holds it round the outside for the time being. After a few more laps of catching back up to him, he makes a slight mistake by going deep into turn 2. We're on the gearbox of him now, as we've got a really strong exit, and into turn 4 we brake even later this time and don't make the same mistake twice. We get the job done very nicely and now up into P8. Great start. Fast forwarding a couple of laps, and the result of me pushing as hard as I can, the tyres are already shot. Out of sheer desperation, I try to go around the outside of this GT4 car to try and create a gap to the Porsche I've just overtaken. A couple laps after that, we come into the pits and get ready for our mandatory 2-minute pit stop. At this stage of the race, we're battling for P8 with the 2 Porsche cars that we overtook at the race start. It's becoming really hard to keep them behind me because they just seem to have a lot more grip at this stage of the race. They are on a different brand of tyre, so it may be their tyre just lasts a lot longer than ours does. Unfortunately, they have had shorter pit stops and they've gone straight past us in the pits. I knew that as soon as they get in front of me, that's game over really. I don't have the tyres in good enough condition to be able to catch up and even overtake them because they were hounding me for so many laps. By this point we're in P9 as the KTM is still yet to pit, but on the very last lap I'm unable to keep him behind me because of his superior power and grip, and we just let him through. I really wish I could have fought it a little bit harder, but at this point of the race, so close to the end, I didn't think it was worth it. P10 was the end result out of the endurance race, and despite having a bit of a long pit stop, it was a decent result all in all. I don't think I would have been able to hold on to the Porsches behind me anyway, because our tyres just seemed to be getting worse and worse. But overall, it was a really good experience just to get so much track knowledge ahead of the first round of the Ferrari Challenge. I'd just like to take this moment now to thank FF Corsa and everyone involved with FF Corsa for their amazing job this weekend, and I look forward to the first round of the challenge here in March.
So that is a wrap for today. Endurance race just done. I'm absolutely aching in every possible way. My back is absolutely totaled. Because this, like I said earlier, it's like a kart track. You don't really get a lot of room to rest on like the other tracks that I've been to. It's just very draining mentally and of course physically as well. You know, on the back, just having to prop yourself up all the time. But awesome. No, it's a really good result. We started P14 and I think we finished 8th overall. And then we started from P1 in class, I think, and then ended up P1 in class overall. So 3 from 3. I'll show you into the lorry here. All the trophies from today. So 3rd there on the podium, and these for all the class wins that we got today. Lovely stuff. 3 for 3. Still well, in cars at least, still unbeaten in that sense, but yeah, the challenge is going to be harder for when we get to the actual challenge itself. So no, I got to thank FF Corsa for doing an amazing job this weekend, setting up the cars perfectly, and all the mechanics of FF Corsa they've all done an amazing job. You know, car was maintained beautifully, everything was run, you know, as well as it could have been run. But yeah, it's just a shame during the endurance race that that the Porsches got a really fast pit stop, and I think they both got drive-through penalties because of it. But yeah, like they were stuck behind me for 35 minutes, I think, because it made a weird equilibrium almost, because they were faster through the middle and twisty stuff after the peak grip of the Pirellis faded, but then in the first sector, which is mainly just a straight line, I just gapped them completely. So you know, it was almost like cat and mouse on the first 35 minutes of the race, and you know, as you can imagine, with 2-3 cars behind you constantly pressurizing you into making a mistake and trying not to make that mistake, it's hard to keep focused. But yeah, I want to thank each and every one of you for watching the video. It's really appreciated. Be sure to like and subscribe, tell your friends as well, and anybody who was here at Valencia watching me, be sure to comment down below. Like, comment, subscribe. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about it in the comments as well. Cheerio.